The medical station floated quietly in space. Its white walls gleamed under the distant starlight. Inside, Tae-Yang walked down a long corridor, his shoes making soft sounds on the metal floor. He felt excited. This was his first real mission as a medical officer for Earth's delegation to the Galactic Union. After years of training, he was finally here meeting alien species from across the galaxy. Jiwoo walked beside him. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life forms. She carried a data pad and kept checking the schedule. Medical screening first, she said. Then we meet the council representatives. Try not to look too excited, Tae-Yang. We need to make a good impression. Tae-Yang grinned. I can't help it. Do you know how amazing this is? Real aliens. I've been reading about the Kryn species all week. They have 4 arms and crystalline skin that can— Yes, I know, Jiwoo interrupted. Just remember, they find us just as strange as we find them. Maybe stranger. They entered the medical bay. The room was large and filled with equipment that looked nothing like Earth technology. Lights blinked on machines. Strange tools hung on the walls. In the center of the room stood Dr. Velrus. She was tall, taller than any human. Her skin looked like blue crystal, almost transparent in some places. 4 arms moved gracefully as she prepared her equipment. Her eyes were large and dark, and they studied the 2 humans carefully. Welcome, Dr. Velrus said. Her voice came through a translator device on her belt. The sound was smooth but had a strange echo. I am Dr. Velrus, Chief Medical Officer of Harmony's Rest. Please stand on the scanning platform. This is standard procedure for all new species entering our station. Tae-Yang stepped onto the platform first. A blue light washed over him from head to toe. It felt warm and tingly. He stood still, trying to look professional. Dr. Velrus watched several screens, her 4 hands moving across different controls. Suddenly, all the machines started beeping. Loud, urgent beeps. Red lights flashed across the screens. Dr. Velrus's eyes went wide. She pressed more buttons, but the alarms only got louder. What's wrong? Tae-Yang asked. He looked down at himself. He felt fine. Perfectly healthy. Dr. Velrus didn't answer. 2 of her hands flew across the controls while the other 2 pulled up more screens. Her crystalline skin seemed to glow brighter, which Tae-Yang guessed meant she was worried. Step off the platform, Dr. Velrus said. Her voice was tight. Slowly. Don't make sudden movements. Tae-Yang stepped down. Jiwoo moved closer to him. What's happening? She asked Dr. Velrus. Dr. Velrus touched a button on the wall. A clear barrier dropped from the ceiling, separating her from the 2 humans. Quarantine protocol, she said. I'm sorry, but I must isolate you until I understand what I'm seeing. Quarantine? Tae-Yang looked at Jiwoo. But I feel fine. I'm not sick. Dr. Velrus pulled up a holographic image. It showed Tae-Yang's skin magnified thousands of times. Even Tae-Yang could see something was wrong with the image. His skin cells looked damaged. Dark spots appeared everywhere. Some cells looked like they were dying. Your skin tissue shows extensive damage, Dr. Velrus said. She pointed at the image with one hand while the others continued working. Your melanin production is extremely elevated. Your keratinocytes are showing signs of radiation exposure. Severe radiation exposure. What happened to you? Tae-Yang blinked. Radiation? I haven't been near any radiation, unless you count the sun, but that was just— He stopped. He looked at Jiwoo. She closed her eyes and sighed. Oh no, Jiwoo said quietly. The sun? Dr. Velrus's voice rose. You were exposed to stellar radiation? How did this happen? Was there an accident with your ship? A hull breach? No accident, Tae-Yang said. He held up his hands. I went to the beach last week. Before we left Earth, I just, laid in the sun for a while. Dr. Velrus stared at him. All 4 of her hands stopped moving. Beach? The translator seemed to struggle with the word. You deliberately exposed yourself to stellar radiation? Well, yes, Tae-Yang said. It was a nice day. I wanted to get some sun before the mission. To tan a little. Tan? Dr. Velrus looked at her screens again, then back at Tae-Yang. I don't understand. The translator must be malfunctioning. You're saying you did this on purpose? Jiwoo stepped forward. Dr. Velrus, perhaps I can explain. On Earth, many humans enjoy something called sunbathing. We sit or lie in the sunlight. Our skin produces more melanin in response, which makes our skin darker. We call this a tan. It's considered aesthetically pleasing. The medical bay went silent except for the beeping machines. Dr. Velrus looked at Jiwoo, then at Tai Yang, then back at her screens. Her crystalline skin flickered with different colors which Tai Yang didn't know how to interpret. You damage your cellular structure, Dr. Velrus said slowly. For aesthetic purposes. It's not really damage, Tai Yang tried to explain. It's more like adaptation. Our skin gets darker to protect us from UV radiation. It's natural. Natural? Dr. Velrus's voice went up higher. Radiation exposure is natural to you. Earth's sun is pretty strong, Jiwoo said. Humans evolved under constant UV exposure. Our bodies adapted to handle it. Dr. Velrus turned back to her equipment. She ran more scans. The screens filled with data. Tai Yang watched her read the results. Her skin color kept changing, cycling through different shades of blue and purple. This is worse than I thought, Dr. Velrus said. She pulled up more images. Your entire species shows signs of repeated radiation exposure. Historical medical data from your planet indicates you regularly subject yourselves to this. Some humans even use artificial radiation devices for this purpose. You call them tanning beds? Tai Yang shifted uncomfortably. Well, yes, but most doctors on Earth say those aren't very healthy, not very healthy. Dr. Velrus made a sound that the translator couldn't quite convert. Not very healthy? They cause cellular damage, potential mutations, increased cancer risk. And you use them anyway. Jiwoo tried again. Dr. Velrus, I understand this seems strange to you, but humans have a high tolerance for self-harm. Dr. Velrus interrupted. She pressed several buttons at once. I must report this to the Galactic Council immediately. This is a biological hazard concern. Your species may pose a risk to yourselves and potentially others. Wait, Tai Yang said. We're not a hazard. We're perfectly safe. Tanning is completely normal for humans. Dr. Velrus looked at him through the clear barrier. Her large eyes seemed sad. That is exactly what concerns me, she said. If this is normal for your species, what else do you consider normal? Before either human could respond, Dr. Velrus activated a communication device. This is Chief Medical Officer Velrus. I need to speak with the Galactic Council. Emergency medical assessment. Priority level maximum. We have a situation with the human delegation. Tai Yang looked at Jiwoo. She looked back at him. They both had the same thought. Their mission to join the Galactic Union had just become much more complicated. All because Tai Yang wanted to get a tan before leaving Earth. Maybe I should have just stayed pale, Tai Yang whispered. Jiwoo didn't answer. She was too busy trying to figure out how to explain human biology to an entire galactic civilization that apparently never sunbathed. Ambassador Hyunwoo sat in the conference room, his head in his hands. He had been preparing for this mission for 2 years. 2 years of diplomatic training, cultural studies, and language preparation. He thought he had planned for everything. He never imagined that a simple suntan would threaten Earth's entry into the Galactic Union. The holographic screen in front of him showed the Galactic Council chamber. Dozens of alien species sat in a wide circle. Some looked like insects. Others seemed to be made of light. One appeared to be just a floating blob of water with eyes. They all looked worried, and they were all looking at images of human skin cells. This is a disaster, Hyunwoo muttered. Bo-Ra, the cultural liaison, sat across from him. She was young but smart, always ready with her datapad and quick solutions. It's not a total disaster, she said. Not yet, anyway. They think we're insane, Hyunwoo said. They think humans deliberately harm themselves. How do I explain that we're not crazy? On the screen, Dr. Velrus was presenting her findings to the council. Her 4 hands moved gracefully, pointing at different images. The humans call it tanning, she explained. They expose themselves to dangerous levels of ultraviolet radiation from their star. They do this for what they call aesthetic reasons. Their skin darkens. Their cells sustain damage. Yet they consider this normal behavior. Counselor Thex, the gelatinous aquatic representative, rippled with what looked like shock. Their translator voice was high and concerned. They damaged their protective outer layer intentionally? For beauty? That is correct, Dr. Velrus said. But there is more. She pulled up new data. I have researched human recreational activities. They also consume substances that are toxic to their liver and brain. They call this drinking alcohol. It is a social activity. The council chamber filled with sounds, gasps, clicks, whistles, and other noises that the translators struggled to convert. Hyunwoo watched as alien after alien reacted with obvious distress. They poison themselves socially? Counselor Thex asked. This is normal for them? Dr. Velris continued. There is more. Humans engage in physical activities that deliberately stress their bodies to the point of pain and damage. They call these sports. They run until their muscles tear. They lift heavy objects until their muscle fibers break down. They even engage in activities where they intentionally collide with each other at high speeds. Bora pulled up a video on her datapad. Oh no, she said. She found the extreme sports videos. On the council screen, Dr. Velris showed footage from Earth, humans jumping out of aircraft, humans climbing mountains without safety equipment, humans surfing massive waves, humans boxing, wrestling, and participating in mixed martial arts. The council watched in what appeared to be horrified silence. They fracture their own structural supports? A reptilian counselor asked. For entertainment? The humans appear to have an extremely high pain tolerance, Dr. Velris said. They even have competitions to see who can endure the most pain. Here they eat chemically burning plant matter. They call it a hot wing challenge. The capsaicin causes significant distress, yet they laugh while doing it. Hyunwoo stood up. I need to address the council, now. Bora quickly activated the communication link. Hyunwoo's image appeared in the council chamber. All eyes turned to him. He had never felt so many alien gazes at once. He cleared his throat. Honored counselors, Hyunwoo began. I understand that human behavior appears strange to you. But please understand, we are not harming ourselves. These activities are safe within reasonable limits. Humans have been doing these things for thousands of years. That makes it worse, Counselor Thek said. You have been engaging in self-destructive behavior for millennia? This suggests a deep psychological issue with your species. It's not self-destructive, Hyunwoo insisted. It's just human. An insectoid counselor raised a clawed limb. Ambassador, I have reviewed your medical literature. You also perform something called body modification. You pierce your skin with metal. You inject ink under your dermis. You even perform cosmetic surgery to alter your appearance. Is this also just human? Hyunwoo hesitated. He hadn't expected them to research that deeply. Well, yes, some humans do those things, but what? The insectoid pressed. How do we know that a species that routinely damages itself will not become a threat to others? If you treat your own bodies this way, what prevents you from treating other species similarly? That's completely different, Hyunwoo said. We would never, Bora tugged his sleeve. She whispered, show them the context. Show them why we do these things. Hyunwoo nodded. Counselors, may I present additional information? The head counselor, an elderly being that looked like living metal, gestured with approval. Proceed. Bora transmitted new data to the council. Images of Earth appeared. Beautiful images showing beaches, mountains, forests, and cities. But then the data showed the reality. Earth's intense solar radiation. Its extreme weather. Its dangerous predators. Its diseases and natural disasters. Earth is what we call a Class 7 habitable planet, Bora explained. It has high gravity, intense stellar radiation, extreme temperature variations, and a dense atmosphere with high oxygen content. Many of the things we do aren't just for fun. They're survival adaptations that became part of our culture. Survival adaptations? Counselor Thex asked. Yes, Bora said. Tanning protects us from UV radiation. Drinking alcohol in small amounts helped our ancestors purify contaminated water. Physical exercise builds the strength we need to survive on a high-gravity world. Our pain tolerance developed because injuries were common, and we needed to keep functioning despite them. The council chamber grew quiet. The counselors looked at each other. Some whispered among themselves. Dr. Velris studied the new data carefully. So you are saying, the metallic head counselor spoke slowly, that these behaviors are not psychological disorders but evolutionary necessities? Exactly, Hyunwoo said. We're not crazy. We're adapted to our environment. But you continue these behaviors even when not on your home planet, the insectoid counselor pointed out. Your medical officer was exposed to radiation just days before arriving here. Surely that was not necessary for survival. Hyunwoo struggled to answer. Well, no, but it's cultural now. It's part of who we are. A culture of self-harm, Counselor Thek said flatly. In the quarantine room, Taeyang watched the proceedings on a small screen. Jiwoo sat next to him. They had been confined there for hours while the council debated their fate. This is my fault, Taeyang said. I should have read the cultural preparation materials more carefully. Maybe there was a warning about tanning. There wasn't, Jiwoo assured him. Nobody thought to mention it. We all assumed other species would understand. I mean, doesn't everyone enjoy sunshine? Apparently not, Tae-yang said glumly. Dr. Velrus entered the quarantine area. She stood on the other side of the barrier, all four hands clasped together in what might have been a gesture of concern. I want you to understand, she said to them. I am not trying to keep your species out of the Union. I am simply concerned for your well-being. Your biology is so different from anything we have encountered. What if you need medical care we cannot provide? What if our treatments harm you? Tae-yang stood up and approached the barrier. Dr. Velrus, I appreciate your concern, but humans are tougher than you think. We've survived on Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. We can handle a lot. That is precisely what worries me, Dr. Velrus said softly. A species that can handle so much. What happens when they cannot handle something? Will we even recognize the warning signs? On the screen, the council continued to debate. Finally, the head counselor called for silence. We will vote, the metallic being announced. The question before us. Should humanity be classified as a high-risk biological entity? One by one, the counselors voted. Tae-yang watched the count with growing dread. The yes votes outnumbered the no votes. When the final tally appeared, his heart sank. The motion passes, the head counselor declared. Humanity is classified as high risk. Their admission to the Galactic Union is postponed pending further evaluation. Psychological assessment of the species will be required. The screen went dark. Tae-yang looked at Jiwoo. She looked back at him. Neither of them knew what to say. Earth's dream of joining the galactic community had just been crushed. All because humans like to lie in the sun. The human delegation gathered in their quarters. The mood was tense. Ambassador Hyunwoo paced back and forth while the others sat around a table covered in data pads and star charts. They had 1 week to change the Council's mind. 1 week to prove that humans belonged in the Galactic Union. We need a new strategy, Jiwoo said. She drummed her fingers on the table. Explaining our behavior isn't working. They still see us as reckless. Bo-Ra scrolled through reports on her pad. The problem is their perspective. Every other species in the Union evolved on safer worlds. Lower radiation, fewer predators, more stable climates. They don't understand what it means to survive on a planet like Earth. A holographic screen flickered to life. A woman's face appeared, transmitted from Earth. Dr. Kiran, the evolutionary biologist. She was older, with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. I've been reviewing the Council's concerns, she said, and I think I see the problem. You're defending human behavior. You should be explaining human evolution. What's the difference? Hyunwoo asked. Everything, Dr. Kiran said. She transmitted new data to their pads. Look at this. Earth is classified as a Class 7 habitable world. Do you know how rare that is? Most inhabited planets in the galaxy are Class 2 or 3. Gentle environments. Easy living. Earth is a death world compared to most of the galaxy. Subin, the youngest member of the delegation, looked up from her pad. A death world. By galactic standards, yes, Dr. Kiran confirmed. High gravity. Intense radiation. Extreme weather. Aggressive predators. Earth has mass extinction events every few million years. Humans didn't just survive there. We thrived. We became the dominant species. That required incredible adaptability. Jiwoo leaned forward. So our high pain tolerance, our ability to handle toxins, our resilience, these aren't flaws. They're survival traits. Exactly, Dr. Kiran said. Most species in the galaxy evolved in stable environments. They didn't need to develop extreme resilience. Humans did. We had to endure or die. Our bodies adapted in ways that seem bizarre to species that never faced those challenges. Bo-Ra started typing rapidly. This changes everything. We shouldn't defend tanning as safe. We should explain it as evidence of our radiation resistance. The Council sees weakness. We need to show them strength. But how? Hyunwoo asked. They've already made their decision. They think we're self-destructive. Subin raised her hand hesitantly. Everyone turned to look at her. She was the youngest and usually the quietest. What if we demonstrated? She suggested. Show them that humans can survive conditions that other species can't. Prove our resilience instead of just talking about it. The room fell silent. Tae-yang, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, stood up. She's right, he said. The Council thinks we're fragile. Let's prove we're not. I'll volunteer for any test they want to run. That could be dangerous, Jiwoo warned. We don't know what they might consider a fair test. It's already dangerous, Taeyang countered. If we don't change their minds, Earth stays isolated. No trade, no technology exchange, no allies. I say we take the risk. Hyunwoo studied Taeyang carefully. You understand what you're proposing? They might subject you to conditions that are genuinely harmful. They might push you to your limits. I'm a medical officer, Taeyang said. I know my body's limits, and I know human capabilities better than they do. I can handle whatever they throw at me. Dr. Kieran's holographic image nodded approvingly. It's risky, but it might work. The Galactic Council respects evidence. Biological demonstrations are common in first contact protocols. If Taeyang can endure conditions that would harm most other species, it proves your point better than any argument. Bora was already drafting a proposal. We request a comparative biological assessment. One human volunteer subjected to conditions considered hazardous by galactic standards. We show that what they consider dangerous is merely challenging for us. And if something goes wrong, Jiwoo asked quietly, then we have medical staff standing by, Taeyang said. Including Dr. Velrus, she's concerned about our well-being. She won't let me come to real harm. Hyunwoo made his decision. Draft the formal request. We'll present it to the council tomorrow. Taeyang, are you absolutely certain about this? Completely certain, Taeyang said. Besides, how hard can it be? I've run marathons in summer heat. I've done polar bear plunges. I once ate a Carolina Reaper pepper on a dare. I think I can handle whatever tests they design. Jiwoo laughed despite the tension. You do realize you're not helping our case about humans being sensible, right? The next morning, they presented their proposal to the Galactic Council. The chamber was filled again with representatives from dozens of species. Dr. Velrus sat in the medical observer section, her crystalline skin flickering with what might have been concern. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood before the council. Honored members, we request a formal biological assessment. Allow us to demonstrate human resilience through controlled testing. We believe this will address your concerns better than any verbal defense. The head counselor considered this. You wish to subject one of your people to potentially harmful conditions? We wish to prove that conditions you consider harmful are manageable for humans, Hyunwoo clarified. Our volunteer is a trained medical officer. He understands the risks. Counselor Thex rippled with skepticism. This seems to prove our point. You are willing to harm yourselves even to gain our approval. Bora stepped forward. With respect, Counselor, it proves the opposite. We're not harming ourselves. We're demonstrating adaptation. Every species in this union has unique abilities. Aquatic species can survive underwater. Silicon-based species can endure extreme heat. Humans can tolerate conditions that would be hazardous to most carbon-based life forms. Let us show you. The council members whispered among themselves. Finally, Dr. Velrus stood. If I may speak, she said. As Chief Medical Officer, I am curious about this proposal. I have been studying human biology. They are remarkably different from any species we have encountered. A controlled demonstration would provide valuable data, and I would personally ensure the subject's safety. The metallic head counselor raised a hand for silence. Very well. We will permit this demonstration. Dr. Velrus will design appropriate tests. They will be challenging, but not intended to cause permanent harm. The test will be conducted in 3 days. If the human volunteer succeeds, we will reconsider our classification. If they fail, or if they sustain serious injury, this matter is closed. Do you agree to these terms? Taeyang stepped forward before Hyunwoo could respond. I agree, he said firmly. I'll participate in any tests you design. The head counselor's metallic face was unreadable. Then it is decided. We will reconvene in 3 days for the demonstration. Until then, the human delegation will remain on the station. You may use our facilities to prepare. As they left the council chamber, Jiwoo grabbed Taeyang's arm. Are you sure about this? She asked quietly. Taeyang smiled, though he felt nervous. No, but we don't have a choice. This is our only chance. Behind them, Dr. Velrus watched the humans leave. She turned to her medical staff. Prepare the testing chamber, she ordered, and ready the emergency medical equipment. I suspect we are about to learn just how resilient humans truly are. For the next 3 days, Taeyang trained. He ran, he meditated. He reviewed human physiological limits with Jiwoo and Dr. Kieran. He ate well and rested. He tried not to think about what the tests might involve. Subin brought him earth food from their supplies. Comfort food, she explained. You need good memories of home. Bo-Ra provided him with data on each council species, their environmental tolerances, and their biological vulnerabilities. "Know your audience," she said. "When they see what you can do, they need to understand the context." On the night before the demonstration, Tae-Yang stood alone in his quarters, looking out at the stars. Earth was out there somewhere so far away. He thought about home, about beaches and sunshine, about all the ordinary things humans did that seemed so extraordinary to aliens. Tomorrow he would prove that humanity deserved a place among the stars, or he would fail and Earth would remain alone. No pressure, he thought wryly. Just the fate of the entire human race resting on whether he could handle a little discomfort. He went to bed early. He would need all his strength for whatever came next. The testing chamber was a large white room with transparent walls. Outside, the Galactic Council members watched from observation decks. Hundreds of aliens had gathered to witness the human demonstration. Some seemed curious. Others appeared skeptical. A few looked genuinely worried. Tae-Yang stood in the center of the chamber. He wore simple exercise clothing that the station had provided. His heart beat faster than normal, but he kept his breathing steady. He had trained for this. He could do this. Dr. Velris stood in the control room adjacent to the chamber. Her 4 hands moved across multiple control panels. Beside her stood Dr. Orvin, the elderly reptilian physician. He had lived for over 300 years and had seen countless species. He watched the human with ancient, calculating eyes. In a separate observation room, the human delegation watched nervously. Jiwoo stood with her hands pressed against the glass. Bo-Ra recorded everything on multiple devices. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood very still, his face carefully neutral. Subin clutched a datapad so tightly her knuckles were white. Min-Seok, the human bioengineer, monitored Tae-Yang's vital signs on his equipment. "Heart rate elevated but normal," he reported. "Blood pressure good. He's ready." The head counselor's voice echoed through the chamber. "We will now begin the comparative biological assessment. Dr. Velris has designed 4 tests. Each test represents conditions that are hazardous to most carbon-based life forms. The human volunteer may request to stop at any time. Medical intervention will be immediate if necessary. Do you understand, human?" "I understand," Tae-Yang said. His voice was calm. "Then we begin with Test 1, ultraviolet radiation exposure." The lights in the chamber changed. UV lamps activated, flooding the room with radiation. The intensity meter on the wall showed levels that would require protective equipment for most species. Tae-Yang felt the warmth on his skin. It was strong, like being at the beach on a hot summer day. Dr. Velris watched her scanners. "Melanin production is increasing," she announced. "Skin temperature rising. Cellular response is rapid but controlled." 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Tae-Yang's skin turned slightly pink. He could feel the beginning of a sunburn, but it wasn't painful. Just warm, familiar. After 15 minutes, Dr. Velris shut off the UV lamps. She examined her readings with all 4 hands moving across different screens. "This is remarkable," she said. "At those UV levels, most species would have severe tissue damage by now. The human shows only mild inflammation, surface level only." Tae-Yang looked at the observation windows. "That was just a regular sunburn," he said. "I'll be fine by tomorrow." Murmurs spread through the watching aliens. Dr. Orvin leaned toward Dr. Velris. "Interesting. Proceed to Test 2. Test 2, toxin ingestion." A panel in the wall opened. A robotic arm extended, holding a clear container with amber liquid inside. Tae-Yang took it. He could smell the alcohol from where he stood. "This solution contains ethanol at concentrations toxic to most species," Dr. Velris explained. "It also contains trace amounts of methanol and various organic compounds. The mixture would cause severe liver damage and possible death in most carbon-based beings." Tae-Yang sniffed it. "Smells like cheap vodka," he muttered. He drank it in 3 swallows. It burned going down and he grimaced at the taste. "Definitely cheap vodka." In the observation room, Jiwoo covered her eyes. "I can't watch this." "His vitals are stable," Min-Seok reported, though he sounded amazed. "Liver enzymes are activating. Alcohol dehydrogenase is processing the ethanol. His body is treating it like any other alcohol consumption." The council chamber erupted in shocked sounds. Counselor Thex's gelatinous form rippled violently. "He ingested that willingly? And he is still conscious?" Tae-Yang felt a bit dizzy but otherwise fine. His face felt warm. "I'm good," he said. "Though I wouldn't want to do that on an empty stomach." Dr. Orvin's eyes widened slightly, which for a being his age was a significant reaction. Test 3, he said. Temperature extremes. The chamber's temperature began to rise. The displays showed it climbing quickly. 30 degrees Celsius, 35, 40, 45. The air shimmered with heat. Taeyang started to sweat. His body's cooling system activated automatically. Most species require environmental suits at these temperatures, Dr. Velrus said. She watched Taeyang carefully, ready to stop the test if needed. Taeyang breathed deeply. The heat was intense, like being in a sauna. Sweat poured down his face and back. His body was working hard to regulate its temperature, but it was managing. He had done hot yoga classes in temperatures like this. After 10 minutes, the temperature dropped rapidly, down to 40, 30, 20, 10, 5 degrees. Now Taeyang shivered. His muscles tensed. His body tried to generate heat. His teeth chattered, but he stayed standing. He had jumped into frozen lakes before. He could handle this. His core temperature remained stable, Minseok reported. Vasoconstriction is working. Shivering is generating heat. He's cold but not hypothermic. The temperature returned to normal. Taeyang stopped shivering after a few minutes. His body had adapted quickly to both extremes. Dr. Velrus studied her data. Incredible thermoregulation, she said. His body adjusted to both extremes within minutes. Most species would require hours of acclimatization. One final test, Dr. Orvin said. His ancient voice was thoughtful. Test 4, physical stress and atmospheric variance. A treadmill rose from the floor. The gravity in the chamber increased. Taeyang felt the weight immediately. It was like carrying an extra 50 pounds. The air pressure began to fluctuate, cycling between high and low pressure. Begin running, Dr. Velrus instructed. Taeyang started running. The increased gravity made every step harder. The changing air pressure made his ears pop repeatedly. His lungs had to work harder to get oxygen, but he kept running. He focused on his breathing, on his form, on putting one foot in front of the other. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. 15 minutes. His muscles burned. His lungs ached. Sweat soaked his clothes, but he didn't stop. This was just another hard workout. He had done worse during training. His body is producing endorphins, Minseok said, reading the biometric data, and adrenaline. His pain tolerance is increasing. He's actually adapting to the stress in real time. After 20 minutes, Dr. Velrus stopped the test. Enough, she said. That is sufficient data. The treadmill stopped. The gravity returned to normal. Taeyang stood there, breathing hard, dripping sweat, but still standing. Still conscious. Still functional. The council chamber was silent. Every alien present stared at the human in the testing chamber. He had endured 4 conditions that would have hospitalized or killed most of them. And he was tired and sore, but essentially unharmed. Dr. Orvin spoke first. In 300 years, he said slowly, I have never seen such biological resilience. This species has redundancies we have never documented. Multiple systems for temperature control. Extraordinary pain management. Adaptive stress responses, remarkable. Dr. Velrus still stared at her screens. Every test should have caused severe trauma, she said. According to our medical models, he should be in critical condition. But his body treated these as minor challenges. His physiology is unlike anything in our database. In the human observation room, Jiwoo finally breathed. She had been holding her breath without realizing it. He did it, she whispered. Ambassador Hyunwoo stepped up to the communication panel. Honored Council, he said. You asked us to demonstrate human resilience. I believe we have done so. Humans are not self-destructive. We are not reckless. We are survivors. We evolved to endure conditions that most species never face. That is our strength. The head counselor was quiet for a long moment. This changes our understanding, the metallic being finally said. Your species is not fragile. You are extraordinarily durable. But this raises a new concern. Bora felt her stomach drop. What concern? Counselor Thek spoke, their voice uncertain. If humans can endure this level of stress and harm, what happens if they become hostile? What if this durability is turned toward aggression? You are not weak. That makes you potentially dangerous. The human delegation looked at each other in shock. They had proven humans were resilient. But now the council feared that resilience. They had traded one problem for another. Taeyang, still catching his breath in the testing chamber, heard this through the speakers. He looked up at the council observation deck. "We're not dangerous," he said. "We're just hard to kill." There's a difference, but the council had already begun to argue among themselves. Some wanted to accept humanity, others feared a species that could endure so much. The debate grew heated. Jiwoo pressed her forehead against the glass. "We can't win," she said quietly. "Too fragile and we're a liability. Too strong and we're a threat." The fate of humanity's place in the galaxy hung in the balance once again. 3 days had passed since the demonstration. The Galactic Council remained divided. They met in closed sessions debating humanity's fate. Meanwhile, the human delegation waited. The station felt different now. Some aliens avoided the humans. Others watched them with open curiosity, or perhaps fear. Tai Yang had recovered completely from the tests. His sunburn had faded. The alcohol had been processed out of his system within hours. His muscles were no longer sore. He was back to normal, which only seemed to make the aliens more nervous. He spent his time helping with minor medical tasks around the station. Dr. Velrus had cautiously allowed him to assist in her medical bay. She watched him constantly, still studying him, still trying to understand human biology. Rena, one of the human technicians, was working on repairs in the station's lower levels. She was a skilled engineer who had volunteered for the mission. She enjoyed the challenge of working with alien technology. The station's systems were fascinating, completely different from Earth designs. She was deep in the maintenance tunnels, recalibrating a power distributor when she heard it. A hissing sound. Sharp and wrong. She looked up. A pipe overhead had cracked. Green liquid sprayed out, filling the corridor with acrid fumes. Coolant. Industrial coolant. Rena's eyes watered immediately. She grabbed her communicator. "Engineering to control. We have a coolant leak in Section 7. Major leak. I need emergency response now." Alarms blared throughout the station. The leak was worse than anyone initially realized. The coolant system had developed a cascade failure. Multiple pipes ruptured. The toxic liquid flooded the lower decks and the fumes spread rapidly. In the medical bay, Dr. Velrus received the emergency alert. Her crystalline skin flashed bright red with alarm. "Quell," she called to her assistant. "We must evacuate this section. The coolant is spreading toward medical storage." Quell was young for their species, still learning medical procedures. The insectoid's antennae twitched nervously, but the critical medications are stored there. "If we lose them—" "I know," Dr. Velrus said. "Come, we will retrieve what we can." They rushed toward the storage area, but they were too late. The coolant had already reached that section. The door refused to seal properly. Fumes poured through the gaps. Dr. Velrus and Quell found themselves trapped in the contaminated zone. Dr. Velrus felt the chemical burn immediately. Her crystalline skin began to crack and discolor. Quell's exoskeleton started to corrode. The insectoid made a clicking sound of pain. "Emergency medical to Section 7 storage," Dr. Velrus transmitted. Her voice was strained. "Dr. Velrus and medical assistant Quell are trapped. Coolant exposure. We need immediate extraction." In the station command center, the emergency coordinator studied the situation. The readings were bad, very bad. "We can't send a team in," he said. "The coolant concentration is too high. Environmental suits won't hold up long enough for a rescue. We would lose the rescue team too." "Then what do we do?" someone asked. The coordinator's face was grim. "We seal the section. Contain the leak. We cannot risk the entire station, but Dr. Velrus and Quell will not survive anyway," the coordinator said quietly. "The coolant exposure is already fatal." "I am sorry." Tae Yang heard the emergency broadcast in the medical bay. He pulled up the incident data on a nearby console. His medical training kicked in. He analyzed the coolant composition: hydrocarbons, industrial solvents, organic acids, highly toxic, highly corrosive, but something clicked in his mind. These chemicals were toxic to most species, but humans had been dealing with industrial chemicals for centuries. Human skin was remarkably resistant to short-term chemical exposure. Human liver and kidneys could filter toxins that would kill other species. He ran to the command center. Ambassador Hyunwoo was already there, arguing with the coordinator. "You cannot just abandon them," Hyunwoo was saying. "I have no choice," the coordinator said. "No one can survive in those conditions." "I can," Tae Yang said. Everyone turned to look at him. Hyunwoo's eyes widened. Taeyang, no. It's too dangerous. I've studied the coolant composition, Taeyang said quickly. It's toxic, yes, but not immediately lethal to humans. My skin can handle short-term exposure. My body can filter the fumes if I have a respirator. I can get to them. The coordinator shook his head. You will die, maybe, Taeyang said. But probably not. Humans work with chemicals like this on Earth. We have procedures. I know what to do. Jiwoo grabbed his arm. This is insane. Even for humans. Dr. Velrus saved my life, Taeyang said. Or at least she tried to. When she thought I was sick, she immediately tried to help me. She was worried about my well-being. I owe her, and I can do this. Hyunwoo looked at the coordinator, then back at Taeyang. He understood what this meant. If Taeyang succeeded, it would prove that humans were not a threat. They were protectors, helpers, but if he failed, let him try, Hyunwoo said. Bora and Rina worked quickly. They assembled a makeshift respirator from medical supplies. They found chemical-resistant gloves and boots. They covered as much of Taeyang's skin as possible with protective layers. It wasn't perfect. It wouldn't protect him completely, but it was something. You have maybe 10 minutes, Rina said. After that, even human skin will start to break down. Get in, get them. Get out, Taeyang nodded. He checked the respirator. He checked his gloves. He took a deep breath. 10 minutes. I can do this. He entered the contaminated zone. Immediately, his eyes burned. The fumes were strong even through the respirator. He could feel the chemicals on any exposed skin. It stung, it burned, but it was bearable. He pushed forward. He found Dr. Velrus and Quell in the storage room. They were both in bad shape. Dr. Velrus's crystalline skin had multiple cracks. Quell's exoskeleton was damaged and leaking fluid, but they were alive. Human? Dr. Velrus's voice was weak. You should not be here. You will die. Not today, Taeyang said. He pulled emergency medical patches from his kit. He applied them to Dr. Velrus's worst cracks. He sealed Quell's damaged exoskeleton. Can you walk? I think so, Dr. Velrus said. Quell tried to stand but collapsed. The damage was too severe. Taeyang didn't hesitate. He lifted the insectoid. Quell was surprisingly light. Dr. Velrus, follow me. Stay close. They made their way back through the contaminated corridor. The fumes grew thicker. Taeyang's skin burned where it was exposed. His eyes watered. His lungs ached even with the respirator. But he kept moving, one foot in front of the other. Dr. Velrus stumbled behind him. He reached back with one hand to steady her. They reached the safe zone. Emergency medical teams immediately took Dr. Velrus and Quell. Taeyang collapsed against a wall. His skin was red and blistered where it had been exposed. His throat hurt. He felt nauseous. But he was alive. They were all alive. Jiwoo rushed to him. You idiot, she said, but her eyes were wet. You beautiful, crazy idiot. Medical staff treated Taeyang's chemical burns. They were superficial. Painful, but not dangerous. Within an hour, he was cleared for release. His body was already healing, already processing the toxins, already recovering. The next day, Taeyang visited Dr. Velrus in medical recovery. Her crystalline skin was bandaged in several places, but she would heal. Quell was in the next bed, their exoskeleton slowly regenerating. Dr. Velrus looked at Taeyang with her large eyes. You saved us, she said. You risked your life in conditions that should have killed you. Why? Because you needed help, Taeyang said simply. And because I could. Dr. Velrus was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I understand now. You do not burn yourselves for fun. You have survived so much that danger has become ordinary to you. What seems like self-harm to us is just life to you. And because you can endure so much, you can protect others who cannot. Taeyang smiled. Something like that. The council will hear of this, Dr. Velrus said. I will tell them myself. Humans are not dangerous. Humans are essential. The galaxy needs species like yours. 2 days later, the Galactic Council reconvened. Dr. Velrus stood before them, her bandages visible to all. She told them what happened. She told them how a human risked his life to save aliens he barely knew. She told them that human resilience was not a threat. It was a gift, the vote was called. This time it was not even close. Humanity was accepted into the Galactic Union, not as a threat to be managed, but as a valuable member with unique capabilities. When Taeyang heard the news, he was standing on an observation deck, looking out at the stars. Jiwoo came to stand beside him. We did it, she said. We're in. Yeah, Taeyang said. All because I wanted to get a tan. Jiwoo laughed. Next time just stay pale. Where's the fun in that? Taeyang grinned. Then he grew serious. Do you think we'll fit in out here? Among the stars? I think we'll do what humans always do, Jiwoo said. We'll adapt. We'll survive. We'll help others. We'll probably confuse everyone in the process. But we'll be fine. Taeyang looked at his reflection in the observation window. His skin was healing well. The chemical burns were fading. Soon there would be no trace of his injury. Just another day in the life of a human. The galaxy would learn, he thought. They would learn that humans were strange and resilient and surprisingly helpful. They would learn that what looked like weakness was strength, that what looked like foolishness was courage. And maybe, just maybe, they would learn to appreciate a good suntan,